All right. Hello. Thank you for joining us. This is the third live stream broadcast from Freelance Duck Hunting. If you've never seen Freelance Duck Hunting before, we video every single hunt that we go on in duck season. And this is our second season live stream broadcast from Freelance Duck.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to pause that video.
Feedback there because I've got them both open. Anyway. So I see some people jumping in, and anyway, I was saying we film all our duck hunts, and so if you haven't checked us out before, make sure that you look at all of those hunts today. Joining us is Drake Valley from Drake Valley Outdoors YouTube channel that has some fantastic, amazing videos that you might want to check out. So I thought that I would have Drake on today, and he and I would just talk about duck hunting. We're from the same states. We have a lot in common. And so Drake and I are just going to kind of be talking. And if you guys have questions, we'll try to answer some of those later on. But I just wanted to let you guys get to know Drake and hopefully go over and check out his videos, because quite honestly, I'm really, really impressed with Drake's videos. So Drake, why don't you start off just kind of talking about your channel a little bit? What made you decide to start videoing your hunts and kind of your hunting background?
All right. My hunting background, as I said before we got on this call, is actually fairly short.
Kind of talking about your channel a little bit. What made you decide to start videoing your hunt?
Was that on your end?
Yeah, technical problems there. That was given, so I had to go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. I thought it was on mine. Anyways, my hunting background is actually fairly short. I've only been hunting for 2 years. So last year would have been my first year, and I kind of did a few little videos just with my phone as stuff was flying in and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, these look pretty cool. And I really enjoyed hunting, so I wanted to be able to kind of capture that. And I figured, you know, if I'm already capturing all the hunts and the stuff we're doing, I might as well post it for more people to see. And then finding your videos is really what kind of spurred me to want to make the videos, because I was like, these guys are doing it, they're having a blast doing it and stuff. So that was really the thing that made me want to make the videos.
And Drake and I met, he was a subscriber to FDH, and he started making some review videos, and I watch all sorts of duck hunting videos on YouTube. Some of them are interesting, some just because I like to see what people are doing. So I ran into your videos, your review videos, and started watching those. And then you started posting your videos around teal season. I think those were the first videos that you had done. And
Yep.
So Drake actually joined us over at Patreon and is a member over there. And so I started getting really involved watching your videos, and we started talking with our live Q&As. And one feature we have at Patreon is we have our Q&As with people like Drake that are also producing videos, and we get together and just kind of put our heads together about videos and how to make good videos. So that's kind of how he and I met. So has anything changed with you as far as once you started filming, or what has your experience been with filming your hunts versus in the past not really doing so?
I think the biggest thing that's been the biggest change would be whenever we go out and get skunked, it's like, I don't have content for a video. And that's something I've been working at, especially like in the last video, and we shot stuff in the last video, but trying to get better about talking about what we're doing, how we're setting everything up, and just kind of showing us talking in the blind and stuff. And that's mainly been a challenge because of the way I record, because I have a tripod with a GoPro on it, and it's just looking out over the spread. So it's hard whenever we're sitting there chatting and joking back and forth to be able to spin the camera and angle it over the other guys while we're talking and stuff. So that's something I'm going to change for next year, hopefully. Like I've talked about with you, maybe getting a small handy cam video that I can put around my neck for situations like those, or situations in the morning when we're setting up, because the GoPro is horrible in low light. Even with a really bright flashlight, my headlamp's like 1,000 lumens or something like that. So it's super bright, but the GoPro doesn't work well for that. So The biggest thing that's really
I have
changed. Go ahead.
I have never really enjoyed duck videos shot with a GoPro. And in fact, one thing that you and I are going to talk about either during this or a different time is the footage that you get with your GoPro is way better than 99.9% of duck hunting videos made with a GoPro. I mean, you're getting way better kill shots than I am. And so I feel like if you and I were to like combine our forces,
Right.
the kill shots you're getting are amazing. I've been struggling with my camera getting zoom in shots and stuff. So I don't know how you're doing it, but your footage looks fantastic. Your kill shots look fantastic.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that with the way I use the GoPro is a lot of guys have it set on like wide or ultra wide because they're using the camera on their head. And GoPros don't handle movement very well from what I've seen. If you look at some of my videos where it's really windy and there's a lot of stuff moving around right in front of the camera, you can tell that the quality goes down. So I try and keep a lot of things away from the front of the camera so that there's not a lot of movement. And then also just light. A lot of those guys, you see a lot of ducks first thing in the morning, especially during teal season. So with a GoPro, your quality is just horrible at that time. So I actually got to the point where we were passing on some shots first thing in the morning just so that we could get them on camera. And really, I think that's the biggest thing is that and the tripod. The tripod just stabilizing the camera seems to really help with the quality.
Mm-hmm. And I do notice quite a few questions coming in, and we will get to some questions. First, I just kind of want to introduce all of you to Drake and his channel, and then we'll field some questions here in a little bit. And his channel is Drake Valley Outdoors. At the bottom of the video, I've got a link to my favorite hunt of his, which is the most recent one, where they busted open an ice hole. And in my opinion, shooting ducks over an ice hole is the most fun way to do it. And they had an incredible hunt over an ice hole. I've got that link down there, and I also have the link to his page where you can see all his videos. But you guys have been on a good run the last 3 hunts, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, the last 3 hunts that have been on video.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a bad spell there. That's the thing is that I think I have 9 videos on my channel right now of hunts. We've probably went on closer to 15, maybe more than that hunts this year. And we went on 2 hunts whenever, let's see, around November, whenever it first got really, really cold. And we did horrible. We went out one day and shot like 4 ducks, but the video wasn't very great, and so that never got posted. And we had another hunt during teal season that didn't go well, and then some early duck hunts that didn't go well, or regular season duck hunts that didn't go very well, and were skunks. And at some point, I'm probably going to put like clips of all those into just one video.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like a big skunk fest for us.
Yeah.
And so 2 Wednesdays ago, we tried to go on a goose hunt. We had a great field lined up. I scouted it, or we had a buddy scout it the night before. I scouted it that morning, and we took off the afternoon because that was the only time that worked. I wanted to hunt it that morning, but it didn't work out. It was a cornfield, and there were every bit of 5,000 geese in the field, and probably about 1,000 ducks. And there were specks and Canadas and then mallards. And scouted it that morning, looked great. We went out there, set up around noon, spent a lot of time digging our blinds in. We had permission to dig our blinds in and drive out in the field. So that made it real easy, but sat down. They didn't fly until 30 minutes before till the legal shooting time was over. And then they all picked up and went the opposite direction of where they had been going for the last 2 weeks. And we think what the problem is we were in a cornfield that was all worked up, and then to the west of the pond they were on, there was a cornfield. And that day before, the farmer was out there working that corn under because previously it had been too tall for them to want to land in it. So he went out there and worked it, and then once he got his tractor out of the field, they all went over there.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I think we had our good duck hunt where I think me and Kyle went out and shot 7 or 8. And then right after that, we had 2 more skunks. And then we finally had last Wednesday, had a really good hunt, and then this Saturday had a really good hunt.
So with the, let's talk about ice holes for ice holes for a second.
That's a good time to talk about it.
I have probably in my life been on 4 or 5 hunts that shooting ducks on a hole on the ice has been involved, and only one time have I busted a hole from complete total ice cover, and we did really well. The other times we kind of found holes sitting there, and I think it's a really when do you decide when to bust a hole? Because if you bust a hole and there's no ducks around, or there's no ducks using that flight line, you're not going to shoot anything. You can't just go randomly bust an ice hole anywhere and shoot ducks. So in you guys' situation that you did so well, and for those people watching, the hunt I'm talking about is in the description. I think what's the title of that video?
It's episode 9. Mallards on ice, I think.
Mallards on ice. So what kind of situations, or what was going on to cause you to decide to hunt there and break that hole in the ice open?
The place that we're hunting, it's like home to us. Ever since high school, we've gone out there and done camping and stuff, and so that's our go-to spot, especially whenever it gets cold. Teal season, we're not out there because it's just not a teal place. There's very rarely teal out there, so it's a place we know really well, so we can get around there pitch black usually just fine. Well, I say that, but I got lost Saturday morning because we went out and we got to our spot and I could hear open water, so I was going to go investigate that, and I tried to take a shortcut back and pulled a Dan and went the complete opposite direction. But we chose that place, like I said, just because we had hunted it that Wednesday. We hunted that general area that Wednesday. So we know the ducks were there, and we knew that because of all the cold that there were going to be more ducks there.
Okay.
And then we picked the spot we picked because going in, I didn't think it was going to be completely frozen because it's kind of off of the main river. So it's just a little channel off of the river. So I figured there's going to be moving water. It's going to probably keep it open. Well, it didn't. It completely froze over. So we went to basically just a spot where we had a really good success last year on a really cold day. And it was kind of as the river opens up. So we just kind of got in there and started breaking a hole.
That main lake, now that's a pretty big, that's a reservoir you're hunting, right?
Yes, it's off of the reservoir.
And how far were you from open water?
We were like right at the mouth, right where it opens up into the lake. So whenever you watch the video, I talk about me walking away like 200 yards whenever the first group of ducks came in. I actually walked out towards the open water, and that's where I was trying to scare up some ducks.
Okay.
That I scared right over to Kyle.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
So we were very, very close to open water, and we actually really debated on moving over there. The problem is we haven't actually went that far out into the open water before, so I didn't know what the depth was like. Yeah. Whenever I went out there to scare those ducks up, I was already at right at my waist, so I was afraid if we got out there and started shooting stuff, it was all going to fall away from us out into stuff that we couldn't get to. So.
Well, I was getting nervous watching the video when you were crawling up on the ice to get that first shot. I wasn't hoping you fell in. I was like, wow, this is going to be a really good video if he does.
Yeah.
But then when even you guys were waiting out there, when you get ice and you get above the waistline, I start getting nervous.
Yep.
So that hunt was awesome. So you guys make sure after the Q&A, you follow that link in the description and go check out this video and subscribe over there, because he's going to have more stuff coming out and has some really, really good videos. So over at Patreon, which Drake is a member of, we've got lots of things over there. We've got extras, and from the last hunt there was a ton of extras. We hunted all day long, and so there are a lot of extras, and there's one extra over there that I know that Drake has seen that I didn't know whether to put into the main video or not, and Drake was aware of this, but I didn't realize that ducks actually had penises. And so there was a duck laying in the pile, and I looked down, and well, there it was. And so this whole discussion ensued, and it was, I don't know, pretty good footage. I couldn't bring myself to put it on the main video though. But anyway, there's extras and there's hunts over there that I've got 3 hunts that can only be seen on Patreon. And if you have a YouTube channel and you want to become a creator and start making your own videos, it's a place where every month we do a Q&A and we talk about that, and I will help you with any knowledge that I have about how to better your videos and possibly even do a highlight like this. The thing is with Patreon, I really don't want to do highlights like this unless I really think that the videos are quality, and yours certainly are quality videos, and they're just getting better and better all the time. So what are you doing with I noticed on the video too, you've got some kind of mic system set up?
Yeah, I had somebody, who was that? They just commented on the video right before we got on the call, and they were asking me to talk about that. Like, grab my GoPro real quick. All right. So this is basically the setup that I'm using. I don't know how good it'll show in the camera. It's basically just a GoPro, and then I have this Rode. It's called a Rode Video Micro, and it's just a little small microphone. And I had to get a special case so that the microphone can actually mount to it. And then it has this little windscreen, so this helps with wind a lot. On some days it doesn't matter how windy it is, it'll just cut right through that. If it's 20-mile-an-hour winds, you're still going to hear wind noise, but it really does a good job at cutting a lot of that out. The biggest problem with the mic is it's called a shotgun style mic. So just like a shotgun, everything blasts out like that. So it's capturing everything that's basically straight out from you. And then it has extra microphones or whatever, however it works, on the back side that cut the sound out behind it. So sometimes whenever I'm walking around talking, like holding the camera, if I spin the camera around to show something and start talking, you can kind of tell that the volume dips down. It's actually trying to cut my sound out. But I always, I'm really big about having good audio whenever it comes to videos. And that's why I got that over just using the GoPro audio.
Well, it does a really nice job. So let's go ahead and take, if anyone has any questions at this point, throw up a couple questions and we'll see if we can answer them as we're talking. Maybe I can scroll back and look at some. I know there has been some questions popping up, but
yeah, anyway. I saw Jansen. He had asked something about going to cut ice, or that he was going to have to cut ice on Saturday. So he's going to try and go in Friday night and break open a hole. It just kind of depends on how cold it's going to be. I think you're from Kansas too, if I remember right. So I think it's going to be like 30s until like 4 or 5 in the morning on Saturday. So you may be fine breaking that hole open, but there's a cold front moving in Saturday, so it's going to start dropping by like noon. I think we're at 18 degrees. So we also have a really strong wind though, so that could also keep the hole open. That's what helped us keep the hole open on this last Saturday, was we had 20-mile-an-hour winds, I think it was. And that's what helped keep the hole open.
I don't think there'll be any problem busting a hole open on Saturday. Maybe the north central part of the state tends to be about 5 or 6 degrees colder normally. But other than that, if you're not in that region, I don't think there'll be any problem busting a hole open in the ice. I was going to go out Saturday, but I had a conflict came up, and so that left me with Sunday, which right now they're predicting -2 degrees on Sunday. So that ought to be interesting. Here's another question: is Izzy trained and is she a house dog? I trained Izzy myself. I used a book called Water Dog, and that was Matthew Houston that I said. I used a book called Water Dog, and my goal from Izzy from the time that I started training her was that she was steady, which I'm sure you guys know means she won't leave until I tell her to leave, because my dog before her was never steady, and it's a major hassle when your dog's running all around. And the second thing was just to bring the bird all the way back to me without me having to get up. So my goals for her were never really that lofty. If you're really consistent and you follow a book, it's not hard to train a dog. Now she's a lot easier to train, I think, than a lot of them because she's a little bit low energy and submissive. She's not as high energy a dog, but yeah, I trained her myself, and she is a house dog. And the problem with having a house dog is it's going to be -2 on the morning of the next hunt. I don't think I can take her out in that. So answer that question. Steve says, what calls do you guys use, Elliot and Drake? What you want to take that one first, Drake?
Let me think. I have for duck calls, I have a butt gardener. I think it's like a double nasty. I think that's what it is. And then I have like a little 6-in-1 whistle that's also butt gardener. And then I think there's the whistle and a call in a package for like $7. And I have the other call that's in that. And surprisingly, I like that one more than the $40 butt gardener one. I have no idea why. To me, it blows easier. I'm not a very good caller. I've only been calling since the beginning of this season. I had calls last season. I never touched them. I didn't start touching them until about this summer. So it's been a learning process for me. So I'm probably not the best person to talk about calls with. But that's what I use right now.
Go ahead.
I call ducks in. I've called the ducks and seen them turn, even though I know I'm not the best caller. We've gotten a couple comments on our videos and stuff, saying practice calling and stuff. But the best way I found to practice is just be out there and call at them. I mean, if you scare them away, then just don't do that and practice at home still. But you can practice all you want at home. If you don't get out and actually talk to ducks, even if you're just at a park talking to ducks, you're not going to know what you need to sound like. And that's helped me a lot, but I still have a long way to go.
I find if you actually hear ducks on the marsh, like in the dark or whatever, quacking, I pick up my call right then and try to duplicate what they're doing. I think that's a really good way to go about it. I've got 3 calls I'm using this year, and all of them are young guys in their late teens who have started making their own calls and have just wanted to send them to me. A guy named Lindsey Pierce, I've got a wooden one from him it's a really soft call that I like a lot. And then I've got my newest one is, I believe, oh man, you know what? I can't even remember the name of them. And okay, I can't even remember the name of the other one. My boy's grabbing the calls, I remember it. And then I've got a call from Fouled Feathers. And actually, I'm going to highlight these calls at some point in time. I'm going to do a video on duck calls and talk about the calls that I'm using. And I've noticed with my calling, I think my calling's average. I'm not a great caller, but I'm not horrible. And I've noticed the older I'm getting, the less I'm calling. And I'm doing a lot of what I call calling them on the edges, to where, hit a few quacks as they're coming in. But as long as they're coming towards me, I'm nice and quiet. And as they go on there, as they start flying away, I try to just hit them with kind of a medium to hard quack on the corners to flip them around, and then a couple more quacks. But
Right.
I'm calling less and less the older I get. I just think that ducks get screamed at so much by guys that I think it just doesn't sound natural. And I really am starting to figure out that less is more with calling.
Yeah. I've even, in my limited experience, I've tried to just put down the call as much as possible, and trying to get my buddy Kyle. Ryan kind of understands the concept. He's the other guy, which you won't see a lot of him yet. He knows I'm making the videos. He's just a little bit more shy right now. We'll get him broken in though. Kyle's pretty comfortable. He's kind of, you turn the camera on and he's like Dan. He likes to be goofy and stuff. So, but we've done the same thing in hunt number 7 that we have. We hardly even touch the calls. I had the Drake whistle, and that's all that I really used that whole day. Was just sat there and would just do a couple hits on the Drake whistle, and I know we shot more ducks than everybody around us. I think we were, again, like 2 ducks away from a 2-man limit that day. And with a little bit of better shooting early on, we probably easily could have got our limits. And we just sat there and listened to everybody else around us blowing the crap out of their calls. And we'd sit there, we'd hear calling, we'd get down in the blind, look around the corner, and here comes the ducks right around the corner, and then they just drop right into us. So
Yeah. If there's a lot of other guys around blowing their calls hard, I don't think there's any point.
yeah, we like it, just little single quacks and feed calls and stuff. And
a lot of times it's reading the body language of the ducks. If they're locked up and coming right towards you, you can only screw things up by calling.
Right. Yeah, and that's one thing that I've tried to reiterate to like Kyle and stuff. And like we had ducks that were working us this weekend that they'd be right over the top of the trees. And I try and say, don't call at them when they're right there, because they're going to just look straight down and they're going to see us. We have the trees that were kind of like a canopy over the top of us, but still wait until they're out there a little ways, then call at them. So
red roof retriever. How do you employ motion decoys in an ice hole hunting? Jerk rig, spinning wing, bubbler, or not use one? Well, if you have an ice hole that the ducks have been using, you don't need anything.
Right.
If you find a hole they've been using, they are the dumbest birds in the world. I mean, because they've been coming in there either for a day or whatever, and they think it's safe, and they literally become just so oblivious. Now, if you're breaking open a hole and it's not windy, you can just use the same methods, spinner or jerk rig, is what we've used.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I think you'd risk with a jerk rig is pulling that and splashing water up on the decoys. If it's cold enough that it's going to freeze the water that splashes up on the decoys, then it makes your decoys really shiny, and that can flare birds. The ducks are a lot more stupid than geese, from what I've seen. I mean, geese, if you got frost on your decoys, they're going to flare unless they really, really want in that field or on that water. They're going to flare. Ducks are a little bit more lenient, but if your decoy's covered in water and it's frozen, flare. That's one thing that we did this weekend was whenever we put decoys out, I gingerly placed them down in the water, trying to keep as much water off them as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Someone's asking about why FDH we don't field hunt. Well, we don't field hunt because we just don't have the places to do it. The public places around here, there's really no field hunting for. And I work Monday through Friday. I don't have the time to scout fields and try to get permission on fields. But I've only been on one field hunt for ducks ever, and it was on a public lake that actually had really good field hunting opportunities, and it was a lot of fun. But I would love to do more field hunting. It's just a matter of we don't have the opportunity really to do it here. Right.
You have to spend a lot of time scouting fields. That's why we haven't done it a lot this year. Last year, we did probably 90% of our hunts were in a field, chasing geese. This year, all the fields that we have permission for were in beans, and we're all worked under, and geese just aren't using that. And we're not going to go set up in a field like that. Beans are just such a hard field to pull geese into. So we've mainly been focusing on duck hunting, but yeah, I really want to get on some geese in a field, but it's just not working out. And like I said, it's so much time scouting, trying to find what they're doing and when they're coming and when they're leaving. And really the same applies for duck hunting, but you just kind of have to roll with it. We do the same thing that you do a lot of times, just going out blind hunting on public land, and you can't really do that with geese too much.
Yeah. Aiden, who hunted with us, he's been on 2 hunts with us now. He has access to a field that has some goose pits in it that I don't know if All and Up hunted or not, but I know he's got those available. So maybe I can talk him into taking me out to that. I also met another guy recently that does a lot of field hunting for snow geese and also mallards as well. And I think we're going to do some snow goose hunting with him, especially in the late portion. I don't know what it's called, conservation, or whatever. But they've got some spots. So hopefully we'll be doing some field hunting a little bit at least.
Yeah, I like field hunting. I like hunting over water though. Duck hunting, I think, is my favorite. I prefer that over goose hunting so far, but I have not been on just like a stellar goose hunt yet. My buddies always say, once you go on a really, really good goose hunt or a field hunt, it's going to change the way you think. But something about watching geese. They're just so much slower than ducks. I like the fast pace, and you're sitting there, you got to be looking all over. Head's got to be on a swivel whenever you're duck hunting over water. And it's just not like that with geese. Usually you know where they're coming, and you can see them from about a mile away, and you just got to sit there and wait for them.
I haven't done much goose hunting. We shoot a few geese on the rivers once it gets really cold. In fact, we've got a river spot that normally when it gets cold, in fact, for 10 years in a row, when it gets really cold, this place has been really good. And that's where I thought we were going to be hunting last weekend. And I went and scouted it Friday after work, and there was not a single bird on it. I could not believe it. I mean, 10 years, this conditions, there's always birds there. So I'm hoping that with this really cold weather, the birds will go in there, because the river will start to freeze up, but this one spot stays open much longer. So hopefully this Sunday, whenever we hunt in there, we normally shoot ducks and geese. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I would love to video a hunt in there on the river and shoot some geese. And I really hope that's where we end up being. So I'm not sure where we're going to hunt with the -2 that night. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird hunting conditions like that, especially whenever it changes so quick, because it changes the pattern, especially with geese. They can go out in a field and just sit there all day, or they may just sit on the water all day trying to keep that hole open so it doesn't freeze back over whenever they leave. So
Tom Melton says, do you shoot or pass on mergansers? Myself, I will shoot a hooded merganser drake if I have the chance. I will not shoot common mergansers. I just don't like them. I think they're disgusting. The few times that I've cleaned them, they have a real fishy, nasty smell. And I've heard guys say they taste fine, but I know when I cleaned a common merganser, it's really smelled horrible.
yeah, I would pass. We actually had one come in over that ice hole the other day, and we passed on him. I think it was just a common merganser. I didn't actually see it. Kyle did.
I for some reason, every time I try to shoot one, like if it's a really dead day, the last time I shot one, it was the last hunt of the season, and I had not lost a single duck that entire year. And for lost ducks for us, here's our rule on whether it counted as a lost duck or not. If you shoot it and you see it go down wounded within your range of vision, then it's lost. So if it flies 500 yards away, but it's obviously wounded and drops down, that's a lost duck. If you see feathers fly, but it flies off completely strong and never alters in flight, that's not a lost duck. So I had made it until the last hunt of the year and hadn't lost a single duck. And we were hunting the Missouri River, and it was a cold, terrible day, and there was no ducks anywhere. And this common merganser came buzzing in at about 30, 35 yards. And I took a pot shot at it, and it went under the water, and I never saw it again. I was so mad at myself, because I don't know. I mean, to go a whole season not lose a duck is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. We've done pretty well this year as far as lost duck. Well, I think we've lost 3 ducks. We were doing really well. We'd only lost 1 gadwall. When was it? I think it was opening day at duck season. No. It wasn't opening day. I don't remember when it was. It was whenever we shot gadwalls. The only hunt we shot gadwalls on this year. And I think 4 came in, and we shot 3 of them, and 1 went down about 100, 150 yards away. And I watched it as it went down and had a mark on it, and I basically just tore off running over there trying to find it, and got over there, and I couldn't find it. And we even afterwards walked through, and it was real thick grass and stuff, and we both just tried to walk back and forth through it and find it. And I don't know if it picked back up and flew away, or if it just got down under the grass and died or what, but that was the first one we lost. And then we lost 2 mallards after hunt 7. It was the only
lost 3. That's good. I mean,
yeah.
And a lot of it depends on where it is that you're hunting. Like, I know the place that you hunt in the early zone, you could lose ducks out there really easily.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But those places you've been hunting for mallards, it's going to be a lot harder to lose ducks there.
Yeah. And we actually, funny, we lost more ducks there than we have out at the other place. And that was just because we hunted, let's see, it would have been after hunt 7. So it was late November. And we had a really, really strong south wind. I think it was like 30 miles an hour. And we were hunting the same area as the hunt that we had the sun in our eyes. So we had and it was real cloudy, and we had like 1 or 2 foot waves going through the decoys. And we had 3 mallards land on the water, scared them up, and we shot 2 of them. And then we walked out there to find them. And I don't know if they got pushed under by the waves or what, but we could not find them.
Well, I'll tell you what they'll do is, I guarantee you what happens is, well, they'll swim away, and mallards can get so low profile to the water that even on calm surface, it can be hard to see them. So with those waves, they got right down flat on the water and just swam off, and you couldn't see them because of the waves. I guarantee that's what happened.
Probably.
So Aiden says, and that's Aiden actually that went on the hunt with us last time, and I'm dragging him out Sunday on the -2-degree morning. So Aiden's here, and he says, is it worth hunting during a migration day? In my little experience, migration days, the ducks just keep flying and don't stop. I actually have the opposite opinion, is that I think migration days are absolutely the day that you want to be out there. I've had days where a north wind started at noon, and I didn't shoot a single duck up until noon. North wind hits at noon, and I have my limit by 1. But I'd say I like migration days, and you know what else I like is the first south wind day after a big migration. I like those days too.
Yeah. And it also kind of depends. If you hunt migration and you're only seeing stuff that's actually flying out of your area, then it could be bad. But if you're getting a lot of stuff that's migrating in, then it can be really great. And that's what our hunt 8 was, is we had a bunch of stuff that was migrating in off the north wind. And that was the day we shot almost a 3-man limit. And I know we could have shot a 3-man limit if we didn't have to leave at 10 o'clock to go to work.
Yeah. You know, well, once we get ice, it falls into a really good pattern. Is this after we get this really hard freeze lockdown, what'll happen is tons of ducks will be in the state, but they'll all be on just particular holes and areas. And if you can find those holes, you'll pound them. Then when the ice comes off, that is the best hunting you will ever get in the state, right when the ice comes off. Because then they'll go right back into the marshes, they'll be kind of dumb, and then when it freezes again, they'll all go back to the hole. So after this point, I really don't even think about cold fronts and north winds so much as just ice goes on the water, ice comes off, ice goes on, ice goes off. And you can find opportunities in both of those situations, because we're going to have the main push of the birds are going to be here now after this cold front. And they never all go south of us, never do. So we're in a really good position. If we can get 2, 3, 4 situations from now to the end of the season where everything freezes and then the marshes thaw for a couple days, then everything freezes. If we can go into that cycle, you can really be looking at pounding some birds.
Yeah. And we get a lot that goes south, and then we get warm days and they just fly right back up to us. It's like they kind of just hop back and forth across the border, just kind of all the way through the end of the season, and then they finally go ahead and start flying back north.
Yeah, they will they'll follow the ice line a lot, especially once you get in January, where you get a south wind and they just migrate back out. So they're just following the ice line, and wherever it is, they're kind of right at that spot. And so that's why when you get the ice coming off, especially in the southeast zone, which I know, Drake, you talked about hunting, in the southeast zone even more than my zone, when that ice comes off, it's like ducks everywhere. It's like gnats. It's unbelievable. That's when you really see the huge concentrations.
Yeah, that's one area that I would definitely like to hunt, especially this year, since if we can't get any fields for geese, we're going to be done January 1st if we don't find somewhere to hunt down in the southeast zone. So
well, I have knowledge of that zone, and I also have access to it. So we just need to stay in touch, and I can kind of point you in the right direction, or I don't know, but it's a good area. And if you're just joining us, this is Drake Valley from Drake Valley Outdoors, and kind of interesting. I thought that Drake Valley Outdoors was just kind of a cool name that you came up with for your channel, and I always kind of liked it. Come to find out, his name is actually Drake Valley. And I was like, that is, my wife was in the room. She's like, that's a cool name. She said, do you wish that was your name? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah, people are always like Drake the rapper, and I'm like, or they're like, is your name like Drake, Drake the rapper? And I'm like, no, like Drake the duck.
Yeah, yeah, you're named after Drake the rapper. No, I wouldn't want that
Yeah.
name. So Drake and I, like I said before, we kind of met through him subscribing to FDH, and also he is an official member over at Patreon. So if you're curious about Patreon, you can go over there and take a look at everything we have to offer, totally free, and at least look at what is to offer. You can't view everything, but you can go over there, take a look at everything. If you have any questions, just message me or email me at freelanceduckhunting@gmail.com. I would really like to grow the community over there because there's some pretty cool stuff over there. I'm pretty proud of kind of what we've built up over there, and that's one thing that I didn't get a chance to ask you. Just kind of what was in your decision making made you decide to become a member at Patreon, and kind of your experiences over there.
Well, first I can tell you that the most recent video that we were just talking about earlier that you put on Patreon, that's a reason enough to go to go subscribe to the Patreon, because that video is hilarious. But the initial reason why I got it was or signed up for it was just I like to support people that are doing things similar to what I'm doing, and especially because, like I said, watching your videos is what spurred me to want to make videos. So for me, it felt like it was something I needed to do, was to show my support further for what you guys are doing. And then plus I just wanted to see the content that you guys post over there, because I like all your guys' content that you post on your YouTube channel. So any more of that I can get.
Yeah.
I think I watched, whenever I first found your channel, I think I watched all like 20 hunts last year or whatever it was. And the other one.
Kind of cut out there for a second, but I think you're back. But anyway, I appreciate you being over there. And guys, after we're going to close this down here in just a little bit, we'll take a couple more questions. But don't forget to go over and check out Drake Valley Outdoors. The link is in the description below. I put 2 links for him, one to just his channel, and then the other one to a video he just released today. And I put that link on there because it's my favorite of his. Oh, I know one more question I was going to ask you. You guys look like you were hunting in a blind on a public reservoir a couple hunts ago. What's the deal with? What was the deal with
that? It's a blind that somebody built up. It's been out there for like 4 or 5 years, probably, maybe even longer. I don't know. Like the area that we're at, I don't know if the wildlife manager and them just don't go out to this particular area, because I know
you can't just build a blind and leave it out someplace.
Right, you're not supposed to leave them out there. So it's actually specifically written down. You know, deer blinds, there's rules. You have to have your name on them, and they can only be out there for so long. But this particular area, like, first of all, they don't ever update the report saying how many waterfowl are in the area, and when they do, it's completely wrong. So I don't think they even go out and check this particular area. So that's just a blind out there that somebody built, and
it looks like a nice one.
It's pretty rickety, but there's like a hole. That was one thing Ryan was complaining, and that was part of the thing I put in the video, him complaining about the shells he was shooting, and because he was shooting bad. He's easily our best shooter. That day he shot a double and a triple once he finally got it figured out, and he can go out and shoot doubles every single time. He's just an amazing shot compared to us. But he was complaining about stepping in a hole that was in the blind and stuff. So it was pretty rickety. But it was a fairly nice blind at one point. And people just go out there and hunt out of it. It's kind of a thing where whoever gets there first gets it.
Well, it looked nice on the video. It doesn't sound like it's quite as nice as it looks. I was like, what?
It was a little rickety, but it was definitely nice. If we would have had like a little space heater or something, it would have been really good. But again, it's the only one that's out there that I know of. And like you said, it's not supposed to be out there. So I don't even know how it's still out there. Like I said, they just must not go out and monitor that stuff out in that particular area.
Yeah, you're less trafficked where reservoirs. It doesn't seem like the game managers are very active. When you get the places that are specifically managed for duck hunting only, those
Mm-hmm.
guys are really hands-on. But when you get your reservoirs and stuff, those guys don't really seem to be that actively involved in monitoring stuff.
Yeah, I've tried to call this guy multiple times to figure out, like, is this area a huntable area, and questions like that, and never get through to him. So it's
Those guys don't even really do much managing for ducks in a lot of places. It's just kind of
yeah,
maintenance of the area. They're not really
yeah,
guys, I don't think.
yeah. Not as far as I know, not so much. The area we hunt in earlier teal season, I know we talk to that guy all the time. He's a really cool guy,
Yeah.
and I know that they do a lot to manage that area, or they try to, anyways. But other areas around here, not too much.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and close it down. I appreciate everyone for your questions and stopping by. If we didn't get to your questions, I apologize. They just kind of fly by as we're talking. So we do our best on that. But like I said, don't forget to check out Drake Valley Outdoors on the links below. And please come on over and take a look and see what we have available on Patreon. I think there's stuff over there that you guys would like to see as well. And Drake, thank
You
you.
also get a hat there.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
One of my favorite hats to wear. I just didn't feel like wearing it tonight, so we weren't matching.
Yeah, this hat actually, it's still for sale. I just put it on from time to time. It's like, okay, I don't wear it out of the house. So at some points I may have to send someone a hat that actually I've been wearing around the house from time to time. But yeah, I haven't had that many hat sales. I really haven't been pushing the website that much. My idea with the website is I've got it there and I'm going to continue to add products to it. And actually a couple of the guys that have sent me duck calls, I'm going to be selling their duck calls on there at the start of 2017. And so I'm not really pushing that many sales there right now, but as we add more merchandise over there, it's going to be something I talk about more. But if you guys do, we've got hats and shirts still available. We've got this gray and this blue. So head on over to freelanceduckhunting.com if you're interested in that. Next year, we're going to get, I think, some more hunting apparel, some camouflage stuff, and some gear that you can actually wear hunting, which I think there's more of a demand for that.
Yeah, someone just said if they had a Max 5 version of the hat, they would buy it.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. We're just kind of trying to get everything, all the little pieces in place, and then kind of bring them all together as things grow instead of just, I don't have that much money to just load it right now. So it's just kind of here and we're getting it together and all building it as it goes, But
Yeah.
I wish we had gone with a camo hat first. It was off season, and I saw these trucker hats, and I love them.
Yeah.
And I just more wanted one for myself. It's like I sold enough to basically give all of my friends hats and get one myself. So,
Yeah.
but I love them. I think they're awesome.
Yeah. I love trucker hats. That's pretty much all that I wear. I have this one on right now, and I got a whole stack of them over there that I just switch out every day.
Yep. Well, do you have anything else that you want to comment or say before we disconnect?
Nope, I think that's about it. Just thanks for having me on, and hope everyone else's hunting is going good.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. I know my next video is going to be coming out probably next Tuesday. I'm doing a Sunday hunt, so I probably won't be able to get that edited and done until Tuesday. Do you have any idea when your next video might be coming out?
I think we might try and hunt Saturday. We might. I'm not really sure. So if we hunt Saturday, it'll probably be mid next week.
Cool.
Trying to get on the every week kind of schedule.
Yeah.
But it also kind of just depends on how the video goes. So if I can get better about if we go out and get skunked, still having some content to post, then it would still be mid next week. But yep.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and thanks for joining us. And until next time, thanks.
Yep. Thank you.